Hey YouTube, I'm Brick Smith, and welcome to Forever Sorting with Old Gray Bricks.
You mean Coy and Vance from the Dukes of Hazzard, and Kevin is Bowen. No. How you doing, everybody?
We're not live, are we? I'm pretty sure. I could have
I hope not.
I could have swore I put it on private. Let me.
Yeah, you may want to check that. All the 72-hour folks going, hey, what
did he be bumping in here? Let's see. We don't have any viewers yet, so I don't think we are. I don't think, yeah, we're not live.
Okay, good.
Besides that, Reed would understand, right, Reed? Oh, he stopped watching a long time ago. But anyway, hey, without further ado, here is the Zoom Old Gray Brick. Great.
Sorry. What?
Not at all. Old Gray Bricks. We're doing a mini series. In Kevin's absence, he decided to take a furlough. I decided the good people needed to hear Chris's story.
Thank you very much.
That's where we're at. Yes, sir. Glad to have you, sir.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. How's things in your world?
Well, we blew up the swimming pool.
Wait. Define blew up. In Florida, that can mean a lot of things, right?
We put air into the blow-up swimming pool. Brittany found one last summer on deep down clearance discount. Well, it wasn't last summer. And, well, we broke it out finally today, and nothing better than hose water in a blowed up.
You need some cherry Kool-Aid. You need some Cheez-It crackers, and that is a day right there, man.
I literally laid in the pool on my wife's leg and just enjoyed the boys splashing. That was it. It made my day. I feel better. I look better. Anyway,
a little collar,
a little bit of Florida tan. It'll be gone tomorrow, folks. I don't care.
Do you have any Mary Kay stuff going on while you were out there? I mean,
no, but she did a live talking about how the sun dried her skin out, and she had a product that would help rejuvenate it. And she did a live before we recorded. So,
okay, well, remember, I have an oily T-zone. I need help with that. So,
yeah, all this is dry, and then it's oil when it grows out. I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, it's about to get some scorching heat here this week. I might sit out in the in the shade. I don't have a blow up pool. Jake is all in the cool fortnighting. That's how he's spending his summer. So,
well, but I mean, where else are you going to spend it? It's the air conditioning's on, folks.
Yeah, exactly right. Can't go nowhere else. For those of you in Michigan who are like, why do we have air conditioning? Just move south, and I'll tell you why. We have central air all the time.
Gotta have it. Our house is set at 68 degrees. It's 71 right now in the house. It decided that the oven made it too hot, so it decided it was going to warm the house up for us. Thank you, oven.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, yeah, we Southern boys know what the heat is about.
Yeah,
I watch a homesteading farmer who raises goats.
Oh, not the goats.
Yeah, is the guy. He says. He's from New Hampshire, North New Hampshire, and he's like, it's 93 degrees here. How do you guys in the South handle it? I'm like,
we stay inside.
Yeah. But it's hot down here, folks.
Yeah, and the rule here is, my wife gets colder than I do. I'm like, hun, you can put on as many clothes as you want. There's only a certain level of taking them off that I can do. Yep. So we're going to keep it at 70.
And I am at that basic level in my house at all times.
Right. That's right. No pants Fridays, right? Anyway,
baby.
So we're talking about some Legos, right? I'm trying to think. Last time when we were talking, we were kind of bouncing around talking about the fandom and stuff like that.
It was a great bounce, though. I mean, I really felt like it was a good introduction to you and to what the Lego community is as a whole to start with. By the way, Brickstar, sorry, I never did get the links.
Oh no.
I know. It's what I do.
It's okay. Well, so growing up, I think I talked about it, growing up small town, one of the few guys who thought Lego was cool would go to a small store and
he was on the one that was right.
That's right. That's right. But in the day, Lego also was not a big deal. It was just one of the smaller brands in the toy stores.
And and it's funny now you say that now, folks. I think we decided there's 7 years between us.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Zach, the Lego maniac. All I wanted was Lego, and I never got any. But I'm just saying though, like every time the commercial came on, I was here. I was here.
Mm-hmm.
I was here.
Yeah.
And like you said, at the point that the branding you had just 7 years earlier wasn't there. They weren't even doing nothing.
No, I was a teenager when Zach, all that kind of stuff was going on. It was just the cool toy that you found in the small toy stores when I grew up. Yeah. I mean, I was pre-Toys R Us. I remember when the Toys R Us showed up, kind of thing, which actually put my little toy store out of business that I talked about last week. InTalk knew about where I was talking about.
That's awesome.
Commented last week, and that was really cool. But so I had a small collection. I remember it mostly when I grew up, most of my Lego were in cigar boxes because my dad smoked.
Wait, what?
Masters, right?
Well, what? You're not allowed to put your Lego in a. I'm kidding. People just don't understand, do they?
They had lids, man. They were cool, man. They were awesome boxes. So went from that to a bigger box, and then I remember I had a telescope box. Like my brother got a telescope, and it was a nice big box, and that's what my Lego was in. And back in those days, you had an intricate knowledge and intimate knowledge. It wasn't sorted, but you knew where the bricks were. You knew how many you had. And I remember having 3 red macaroni bricks because I lost one, so I could never make a full circle of 4. Now I have a drawer full, right?
And now, do they have the? Are they old or new? Are they hollow?
Yeah, they're the old ones. I got some of the old ones. So, and I got the new ones. I mean, the new ones didn't. The new mold was about 3 or 4 years ago. They changed that, or 5 or 6.
Come on, man. Listen, as much as I've learned in this short time of these 8 years of being an AFOL, I still don't know everything.
I don't remember. So, but I went through, back in the day though, when I was doing Lego and stuff, I know Brickstar made a comment. He was never ashamed of his, and I'm glad he wasn't. It was one of those things you kind of had to sneak around. My closest friends knew that I liked Lego, and if you came to our house, my floor was covered. Even through high school, I had it covered on the floor. They were not in the telescope box a lot. And through high school, when I got a car and I could travel to Augusta and go to the Toys R Us in Augusta, then Lego started coming. I remember graduating high school, and people would give you cash to go to college, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to Toys R Us. So then I was starting to buy some of the things I wanted to build the things that I wanted, and just kept that up. And when I went to college, I didn't take my bricks, but Warrenton, where I grew up, to Georgia Tech, where I went to college, was just a 2-hour trip. So every other weekend at least, I came home, and that was the way to de-stress. I go hang out with my friends and stuff. But there was a lot of times I would Lego, and especially like when the Jerry Lewis telethon was on, that would just, because we barely had cable in those days, right? But now we got cable. We got cable in '85, I think.
I ran with 3 channels for the first 2 years we lived in Florida. So.
Yeah, I was the remote control till about '87 in my house. Yeah, hey boy,
we had that big broken TV with the little one on top that worked with the rabbit ears.
My dad splurged, and he wanted to get a big screen TV, so we got the one that looked like the screen from the Enterprise with the mirror thing out in the front with the 3 light cameras. You ever remember those?
And if you run your hand across it, it made noise.
And every time you'd bring a friend over, you're like, dude, don't sit there. That's not a seat. That's the mirror. Please stay away. So we had that for a long time.
Nice.
That high tech, but anyway, so I would get Lego, and I would get the sets that I wanted. I mean, I remember seeing the monorails on the shelves and just like, dude, I can't afford that. And they would be on their shelves for 2-year lifespans, because Lego product line overlaps, didn't switch over. Classic Space come out with new Classic Space, and so through '89, then going off to Georgia Tech to school. I discovered there was another Toys R Us between my house and Atlanta, right on the outskirts of Atlanta. And kind of I mean, it's not a super bad part of town, but the Lego that was in that that Toys R Us didn't sell. And dude, in college, and I'd have some change in my pocket. I walk in there, and there were still classic space sets in 89, 90, 92, and the new sets too that were coming out that Lego was doing. And so I could pick those off the shelf and bring them home, build them, and then build them into something else. That's what I would do. So, you know, I still love the Lego through college, but even at Georgia Tech, I couldn't find anybody that was into Lego like I was until I met a guy who was my neighbor. His name is Bill Hayden. And odds are really cool. Bill Hayden lives about 3 miles from here. He and I have had lunch a couple times, talked about our tech days, but Ice Planet came out. And when he and I still had the catalogs because I was getting them. And I'm like, dude, did you see this? And one night, like a Monday night, we left tech and drove the 30 minutes out of the perimeter for us to both go by and build the deep freeze Defender and have it in our dorm rooms and stuff. So cool and everything. So I kept, you know, just buying a set here and there, loving the stuff, but wanting to build more and not having access to bricks. So the only way to do that, and I think I mentioned this, is I ordered from the back of the catalog Shop at Home. And Susan Williams, who I had a crush on, I didn't know she didn't exist, right? But Susan Williams was the name that they always put and signed all the notes from customer service. And we had it in your head, like, I bet she's good looking. But anyway, she was just a corporate made up thing, right? So that broke my heart later on when I found that out. I've been lied to already, but, jaded. But so we get and in my dorm, I remember going to my thing and pulling the bricks out in those Shop at Home bags. And I remember getting some strange looks. I think maybe one or two guys said, "Is that Lego?" I'm like, "Yeah." And like, cool. And then kind of going on and everything. But in reality, the folks my age, there weren't as many hardcore fans that we knew about. So you kind of felt alone. So I did college. I got done with college and started working at home. Would get my bricks. I remember buying some sets. Another colleague that worked with me at the church, he had a son who was 10. He and I would talk Lego a little bit and build. My friend Jeremy, who I grew up with, he had one of the original castle sets, the little joust that went with the yellow castle. He would never give me that thing. I'm like, I'll give you $20, man. No, I'm going to keep it, dingleberry. So he knew I'd probably take it apart and build something else. He knew that I liked Lego. And if I'd go with him to an album store to get albums, that's the big round things that you put and everything on a record player or cassettes. We would do cassettes, right? So
you know the kids don't watch this channel, right?
Yeah, no. I understand.
Oh, you're telling the people our age.
Right. Like, I want to do that too. So I kept the Lego hobby warm and all that kind of stuff. So I moved to North Carolina after graduating tech. I worked at my home church for a year and a half.
I hate to interrupt, but there's a lot of homesteading farms for goats in North Carolina.
I'm well aware of the goat population of North Carolina. Thank you very much. As long as they're not multi-eyed, I'm okay with them. But
anyway. No, just the two.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, right. Chris, I just had to derail you. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so when I was at seminary, I started working. I was a single guy. I had this really dinky apartment. I was having to travel 55 minutes every day to go to school and then go back to my apartment in Rockville, North Carolina. We only had school like 3 or 4 days a week. We had Mondays off.
But still.
But then as I'm traveling back and forth, I start finding all these little small town Walmarts.
Oh.
And I remember walking into a small town Walmart and finding a pirate set that was like 5 years old. And it was on this deep clearance. And I got it. And I remember getting a shuttle set, which I don't have together because I built it into something else. The shuttle with the red girders and stuff, the really cool shuttle. And I found it for like $10 and I scanned it and the lady scanned it. And I started feeling like Jesus is telling me I'm guilty for stealing. I'm like, ma'am,
Yeah.
are you sure? She's like, that's what it scans. I'm like, all right. So
I've had a couple of those situations in the store. I'm like, okay.
Sure? Okay. If you want me to not give you as much money as you asked for it originally. Anyway, so
yeah, I want to give one of the examples I did. I was on Instagram, and Brainy Bricks had posted a picture of in his Target the first wave of the brickheads for $3.
oh wow.
My Target had them at full price. Well, I walked up to the guy in electronics and I said, there's probably no chance in hell you guys would do this for me, right? They're like, no, absolutely, totally. I was like,
that's right. Well, in those days, and there were 4 or 5 Walmart, well, I'd say 3 or 4 Walmarts that I would go to, and they would have, like, one Walmart would have it listed and scan it, you would get it for a price. The other one wouldn't have the right price on it, but if you went and scanned it, it either had the lower price or, you could talk the guy down and all that kind of stuff. So I just started hitting those Walmarts and getting that stuff. Now, my childhood Lego was still at home, still in the attic at my parents' house, but I was getting all this new Lego and stuff like that. And while I'm in seminary, a couple of years into it, I meet Mel. If you've seen the movie You've Got Mail, that is how I met my wife. I still rock that AOL account. Thank you very much. But that's how I met her. We got married. Our first date, I tried to take her to a Toys R Us. She thought I was being impish. I was actually wanting to see if the sets were out. So I'm like, oh, what? And it was closed, and I was mad. So, but she married me not long after that. And it's a miracle that she did. And she really just thought I was kidding about the Lego until it started showing up at the house, right?
Oh, geez.
So we got this little house, and so it was neat. The house I got, the lady who built it built a barber shop with a separate entrance that connected to the house, but it was a little 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath house, but it had its own little room. And that barbershop then became my first Lego room between 98, 99 in that area. And that, man, I love my house. We've got a nice house here, but I miss that little house. The board that made the fart noise as you walk down the hall, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I miss it all just because of all that stuff. But, the Lego hobby established. Now, something bad happened to me right after we got married. My mom passed away. She was 62. I was 26.
Wow.
And so there were a lot of stuff going on. I was still in school, just been married. And I thought, I really need something. And I don't know what it was about. I had to go home a few times. And I said to her on the way home, I said, hun, I'm going to get my old Lego out to go with these Lego I've got here. And she was like, okay, supportive wife, thinking, she's going to be nice to me. She didn't know what she was really doing. And so I remember bringing those home in the back of her 96 Honda Civic, had that box. I wish I'd kept the box. The box disappeared, but I had this box that I had to mix in and start building. And then around that time, Lego Star Wars gets announced. And I found out about it somehow by searching the internet, and Lugnet was advertising this. In fact, it was almost like if you looked for Lego Star Wars, Lugnet was really talking about it. And so all of a sudden I discovered this community online with people. Now, when I was in college using Unix machines and all that kind of stuff, you could FTP out, and there was Rec Toys Lego, Alt Rec Toys Lego, and all that kind of stuff. So I lurked that. I never posted or all that kind of stuff, but I watched, little grainy pictures that people could take back in those days. But then Lugnet started to allow you to realize, and their phrase was great, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you realize that there is a budding Lego community, almost like at least one person in every state, but it's more than that.
Right.
Starting to activate and say, hey, let's get together. And then by 2000 and 2001, all of a sudden those folks are organizing a get together and a convention and all that kind of stuff. And so That's amazing. Now, after Mom died, Lego was really my faith was super important, but Lego was the thing I could go and gear out or process or allow my emotions to disengage and do something to let myself heal up. And I hear a lot of people talking about Lego that way. And there's been a couple instances in my life getting cancer, which we'll talk about later, and recovering from that is super duper important. It was, I mean, just as a way to physically do something, accomplish something, you know, let your thoughts and emotions gear out to give your thoughts and emotions time to heal up.
I have heard that across the board from, like you said, physical and emotional healing through Lego.
Yeah.
Well,
it gives you a chance to express yourself. It gives you a chance to focus on one thing. And in my job, there's not a lot of sense of accomplishment in what I do. Ministering to people. Yeah. Cause you're always, it's like the line, was it from The Incredibles, Mr. Incredible? Because I just fixed this and now you've messed it up again. You know, can't you stay safe? All kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the world.
You see the same kid get arrested 4 times in 2 months. And you're like, just stop doing that. You're bad at it.
Right. Or, you know, you plan an event, you have things happen, and then I mean, Sunday happens every day. I mean, every week for me, right? And I got to be busy, and there's no sense of accomplishment a lot of times. So Lego is a sense of accomplishment. It's like mowing your grass. You're done. I can see that, you know. I can build a spaceship, and I can see that. I can hold that. I can, you know, it's super important to express yourself that way. So after Mom died, that was a real way for me to go because I process my emotions very quietly. And so that was a way for me to go be quiet, you know what I'm saying? And pray some, think some, you know, talk some, but then also make friendships during that time that I still have for life. Mark Sandlin being one of them.
Never heard of him.
He and I have been friends. Do what?
I said I never heard of him. Just
never heard of him. Butt Chop has, apparently. So
well, I mean, I hear they're best friends.
That's right.
Did he go on did Mark go on Butt Chop's 72-hour?
I don't know. I think I'm not sure if Mark had his son this weekend or not. So he may have been tied up.
Butt Chop would have melted.
Do what?
Butt Chop.
Oh, yeah. Butt Chop would have just gone crazy, right? Well, crazier or crazy. Sidebar. I mean, I love.
Yeah, but I mean, no doubt.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's great. He is definitely a needed member of the community.
Yeah, he reminds me of a guy we had back in the day. I think did I mention last time, Travis? That the Travis.
I'm not sure if you did or you didn't, but you can do it again if you want.
Yeah, well, that was a guy we met later on. We met a lot of interesting characters as you got started. Travis was one of them. He was full of juice, man. And he's no longer with us, unfortunately. But we named the 5-stud brick after him because he used it a lot, you know. Because
here's a funny story. I don't know when he passed on or when you guys started that, but in 2012, I was introduced to the community by a small group of YouTubers, and they referred to that part as the Travis Brick.
Travis Brick, that's right.
And it wasn't him or his guys.
Right.
I didn't watch them, so that just tells you the reach.
Yeah. Well, in those early days, though, a lot of stuff got named in those early days on Lugnet and stuff like that.
It was a much smaller community back then. Yeah.
I mean, I was number 135 coming into the community or something like that, I think, or is it 300? Anyway.
Even though 300 divided by 50, again, is minuscule.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, you know, the terms of snot and poop and all that kind of stuff, the Lego lingo, it was birthed out of those groups back in those days. And something like that. It's kind of nice that the Travis Brick kind of, even though people may not know why it's called Travis Brick, I do, and the guys that knew that guy do, because the community is like that. I mean, carry those traditions on, that kind of stuff, and support one another. So, and the other thing that happened through those days is I went from being a really kind of a not so great builder to a better builder because I hung around with those guys, those girls, those folks who were they would have a building technique and would make a compliment about what you did well. Yeah. Back in those days, you could also be kind of brutal and or at least blunt and go, no, or you could say, what if you did this? And depending on the person who said it, you accepted that with graciousness because you're trying to make each other better and do better.
Yeah.
And you got to remember the 1x4 snot brick came out. I don't remember when it came out, but around there. And that was one of the first snot things that didn't use a bracket or didn't use something weird to build on the side. Yep, there it is. That thing was magic. And you couldn't have enough of those. I can remember getting the Sebulba pod racer. I bought all the Star Wars sets when they came out. I mean, nice. I think it was like, took me about $235 or something like that to get them all. And I had it saved up, and I went and bought those things and built them all. And that Sebulba thing had the snot rule in there. Brick, two plates, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, you can do that. And, and handing out.
And I tell you, for me specifically, my daughter's love for wanting to play with the Legos, what attracted me to it. But we were building a tree, the dog washing Friends set from 2011. I looked at my wife. I said, I remember Lego. I don't remember it like this. This is great. And it's stuff like that it was a full-blown allure and said, look what you can do now. Maybe, I don't play with sets. That was, sets was my thing, but to see how they would manipulate the brick and the parts that they would they're brought out while I was in my dark ages, I was like, holy crap, let's go.
Yeah, right. And I mean, nowadays sets, my son loves sets. Me, I just want the bricks, but I do like to build sets and learn a new technique. When you learn something from a set, then that's what makes the set worth it, right? Or even if you look at the instructions and see how a technique is done, makes the sets worth it and all that kind of stuff. But when like the portraits that are coming out or the things, I'm like $120. If I could spend that $120 on Bricklink or whatever, I'd probably be better off. So
there's even a $120 set that's going to be way better than that.
Right.
Tons of pieces and is a theme that you like. For $120, you can go to Bricklink and get a set you missed.
That's right.
A real set.
Yeah, they're right. Not dots like the super dots. I don't know.
And don't get me wrong, I think the dots are the cutest damn things in the world.
They're cool.
I can't wait to get a bracelet and write PBN on it in pink. I'm so excited, but
yeah, that's the thing.
COVID right now, folks. COVID.
But anyway, so getting on LugNet, getting into that community, starting to let iron sharpen iron a little bit, and learning and kind of putting it out there. Here's something I built, and you get like, that's okay, that kind of stuff. You can either take that as discouraging and leave, and that criticism can be leveled in a way that really can make a T-fall or an adult fan who's just getting into it leave.
Yep.
And that is not constructive criticism. There's a balance there. You've got to be able to accept criticism, but people need to give it constructively and everything. So, we were kind of, hey, this would be better if you did this way, if you did this, all that kind of stuff. We would post stuff to Brickshelf. Brickshelf is still existence.
What is that?
Brickshelf is the first image hosting site for Lego fans.
Never. Yeah, I've actually heard. Kevin told me about it. I heard about it with Brickstar occasionally, but if you didn't hear either one of them, I haven't heard it be said. You're the third person to mention it to me.
Yeah, and I think so. Folks still post to it. If you go there and search user LEGO, Lego OBER, which is a Lego and Goober put together, because Goober was my nickname in high school. Thank you very much. So I put those two words together. I was known as the Goob in my growing up in my high school.
I have to say that I think I beat you with the nickname.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh no. If it's PG, lay it out there.
Oh, it's PG.
I had some non-PG ones that I'm not talking
You
about.
remember Revenge of the Nerds?
Were you booger?
Ogre.
Ogre. Okay. All right, that's cool.
But I would have preferred Booger.
do you just sometimes go nerds?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was this big then.
No, cool. That's cool.
Like from the beginning. But anyway, yeah. Sorry. I don't think I'm derailing you as much as adding to the allure of the show.
You're the salt and pepper to the steak of my story. So
I like a little dash. Do you? Not too much. Not too much.
Not too much. I got to see my cardiologist Monday. But anyway, so not too much salt. So anyway, so get in that group. You know, it's almost like you start to get better. You go from something really blocky to learning techniques to kind of finding your style, right? And not technique, but techniques. But so you kind of get your rhythm and you start to focus on it and you get better and better. And through that, you gain the respect of your colleagues. Maybe maybe I worried about that back in the day. I don't care that much about it now. I just want to be a good guy who builds and encourages. And if you like my stuff, I'm just being creative because that's the way I'm made. So just to express that. But anyway, so in those lug neck days, Mark and me and Adrian Drake, I don't know if you heard of Adrian Drake before. He builds huge things. He was the monster builder of us. You know, he built the Serenity to scale with minifigs from Firefly and all that kind of stuff. He was one of those who could build in lots of themes. Me, I mainly stayed space. Mark and I stayed in space and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting. You said his name, and I was like, I think I've heard that name, but I don't like to go, oh, yeah, I know exactly who that is, because I don't. But you said the minifig. Yeah, I know exactly what build you're talking about. Right. I know exactly who that is now.
Yeah, Brick Frenzy is his website, and one of the early ones to adopt the Brick name on there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When I search YouTube for somebody's, there's like, you know, A and then B is this long and everybody's brick. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
so
yeah, I want to talk about your name too later on. Maybe not
mine. Fazoo, yeah. Where that came from?
Yeah, where it came from. But snow brush, no pressure.
So anyway, so get in the community, and then of course they announced about 2000. And see, I got in like 80 or 90. Late 98, 99 is when I started finding this stuff, 99, and you get involved in the community. I met a guy named Tom McDonald, who he's also no longer with us. He was yeah, that's how you know you're getting old. All of a sudden you're losing them too. Tom had some underlying health stuff for a long time, but he was one of my best friends. He's the guy I talk to every day. In fact, I talked to him the day before he passed away, or he had a stroke, and then soon thereafter died, and that was hard. That's only been a couple of years ago, but known him forever. Met him once at a convention, you know, but we chatted online a lot. So the online community became the way you reached out, and for the kids of my generation, now adults, that was more, you know, becoming more and more common. Of a way to connect, to reach out, and they were real connections. They weren't fake,
right?
Per se. And then, you know, every year we would go to Brickfest, and here are my badge bricks that I've got stacked here from Brickfest 2002. I went all the way up to Washington D.C. area to do these.
I can't say I blame you.
You went to Philly, right? That's farther. But this was the only thing we had. We didn't have anything else. And I can remember like 2002 when I first went, maybe there was 150 people. I'm like, there's 150 people in this country and a couple others that like Lego. And then it started blossoming. And then in 2003, Brad Justice showed up and Jake McKee showed up at Brickfest, and they were getting paid by Lego. They were employees of Lego. All of a sudden, Lego notices that there's a group of fans that are getting together. They're online. They're making things and sharing things. And around that time, I'm not sure if it was that year or the year after, to help fund the thing and all that kind of stuff, that Brickfest opened the doors to the public on certain hours on Saturday and Sunday, which we were like, what? We paid like $20 to go to this thing or something like that.
Bless your heart.
I can't remember. Maybe it was 50. I can't remember.
No. You know what I paid for Philly last time I went?
What?
Per
$100 to go to Philly? Wow.
Yes, sir.
I think Brick Fair is what, 60 if you do it early, something like that.
I think between 60 and 70. But I have a friend that said to me, he says, they pushed up the price, but my buddy was like, I pay over $100 for one concert ticket where I get 3 or 4 hours of really great enjoyment. You're giving me 4 days and free beer? I'm in love. So he didn't say the free beer. I did. I do love the open bar every single night.
That is not a Brick Fair item that I have ever experienced, but
the Brickfest, they do the drinky drink.
I got you. So
for free.
Back in those days with the Lugnet thing and going to Brick Fair, we went to George Mason University for all of those except for one, and I think there were at least two of those before I went in 2002. And by then I had moved from North Carolina to Rome, Georgia, and everything. And so that made that trip, a good trip. My wife and I went, met Scott Little, who's in our Lego club here in Atlanta. I knew of him, but met him in person in DC and everything. And we met at George Mason University. It was really small, this really good little barbecue and restaurant bar kind of thing across there called Rocklands. Man, we would hang out there every night with that small group, and you just built some deep friendships.
Yep.
And that then also started to fill some holes where your life has kind of got empty or that connection. And you make that connection, and those connections spur you on to build better, to encourage, and all that kind of stuff. So I went in 2002 with some builds that weren't so great. Let me show. Yeah.
You do, and then I'll pop it where all they can see is the build.
All right, let's see here. I'm not going to show you the super early bad ones, but I took this. This was in 2002. Let me share my screen here. Chrome tab. There it is. The Galaxy Cruiser. Check that out. Look at there. Look how lumpy and junky that thing is.
I don't know. I'm pretty satisfied.
Oh, there's actually, look at there. I didn't realize that. My lovely bride cooking supper in our old house in Rome. Right yeah. But yeah, there's the
cover up there. What was that sitting on?
That's the kitchen table. I was trying to make some sort of background, right?
Nice.
Printed those stickers out on label, and then that was a mistake because they wouldn't come back off. But I made it modular so you can get inside. This was starting to learn to step up my game. I had just gotten that 918 ship there back in the day. So yeah, this is not bad stuff.
Why you got a sticker over you go? Oh,
I did that on purpose. Yeah, and I regret it. Those things don't come off, man.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, but this is probably all the classic space stuff I had because I didn't have Bricklink really to get any of this stuff from. It was eBay or whatever you could beg off and everything. But Star Wars was out, and of course that's where we got gray pieces. The good thing about Star Wars is all of a sudden we had gray space pieces to build spaceships with, and tires to build engines, and that's an interior shot with really. Oh, there's two pictures to show that the door would open. Can you see? There's the door open, door closed. There we go. It slid. Nice. Nice. And there's the radar dish. Remember me telling you about the radar dish from that set? Thing. I made sure to put that in there because I still look at that and I just go to being, 8 years old again. I see that thing and it's amazing to me. That radar dish right there.
Really?
So there's more doors opening.
Where's the bathroom?
You know what? they don't have air tanks on. You notice that, right? It's airtight in there.
Oh,
This is the cool thing is this dome right here is the very same one that's on this Blacktron tower that I'm building right now, because I have one of those.
Oh,
yeah, they cost like $25 a pop now,
but they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. So there's all the classic Spacey computers. That's using the design from the Mega Core magnetizer, right?
Yeah.
To put that on its side there, and actually that would pop off to be another spaceship. So wait, no, look at there. You know what that is? There's a bathroom right there to the right. So there is a bathroom in there.
You got a chrome cup there on there.
I do have a chrome cup because chrome was pretty common back in those days. So that's the captain's bathroom, washroom right there. And they slept in their helmets apparently. And so, yeah.
That's how I would do it.
That's right.
Safety first.
That's right. Let me see. This is Brick Shelf, by the way. This is how we shared our pictures. You would. All right. So here's something I built that was not very good, but started me. Look at that thing. Look at that.
Oh, man. You know what I see? Go back one. I see the escape pod from Star Wars.
Yeah, I used that a lot because it was white and curvy and had greebly kind of prints on it.
Yeah. I actually, for some reason, I have acquired 3 of those sets on accident.
Yeah, they were good sets. They were great parts. Now, you talking about Snot being new. I mean, I didn't have very many, so you had to support all your Greebles with one set. I always like to make it playable when I built something. So that's the engines. So yeah, this was
going back one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
What do you got? The stickers? Oh, those are the things you were showing me the other night.
Yeah, those are holograms from satellites. Yeah, from satellite.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, some hologram panels.
I see something in it. The squirrel. No.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So the airlock system I had in there, and a little spaceship in the back. These little dudes, and this is when I started trying to figure out what I wanted to build. Heads up display. Check those things out, man. Do you see that in front of the controllers there? Yeah, man. It's hard to believe this is 18 years ago, right?
What year is this?
This is 2002. 5/12 of 2002, man.
Wow.
So look at that gun. Wow.
Pew, pew.
Man, there's my crew right there. We still, that's an Alpha Teen head on that girl. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Right.
That's just the only heads you had, and some of those astronaut guys. So yeah, just not really hitting it on all thrusters and everything. So then, I took that stuff. Let's see, where is that jet that I made? There it is. The K-98 space plane, because I had a friend that worked at the radio station in town, and it was K-98. So, so there it is. Look at there. This is 2001. That's the engines from the UCS X-wing right there. Tore that baby apart and used it in a spaceship. So, yeah, look at there. It's all white though. That was the thing. At least I could build something all in one color.
Wow.
This is like a space jet, like a jet airliner, and there's a pod that went on the back.
That's awesome.
Oh boy, look at those. I am bearing my soul today. Oh, there's a dog food in the background. Look at there.
Oh, you feed them Iams. Good deal.
Yeah, well, not anymore. You're getting Walmart. Oh, Roy, for you, buddy. A coffee maker. Look at there's a coffee maker right there in a fridge. But not a lot of. I mean, even though I had a lot to build just one color, I didn't have a lot of. Look at that thing.
It's great.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you. I thought this was cool when I took it in 2002 to Brick Fair, and I remember some guy walking by it going, "Oh man, look at that thing!" And it was just like, at that moment, it's like I can get better or I can quit. Right. It affects you and everything. So I decided to get better. Now this is one of my embarrassing ones. Look at that. How much box can you put in a spaceship right there? Moto likes those engines right now. Look at them on the edge there. Yeah. Oh, this stuff is awful. Although I actually just have it. No, that is the medical bay there to So then you go to a brick fair, you go to a thing, and you learn, you see, and within a year or so later, building turns into this. So this is much improved, right?
Oh yeah.
And you let people teach you, you learn skills, and then all of a sudden you're building a whole lot better, a whole lot. I mean,
go back 3.
Yeah.
So Lego stole the idea of the barrel / bucket from you for the bat spaceship.
Well, I mean,
there it is.
Yeah,
I know it's not the same part, but it is absolutely the same aesthetic.
Yeah, the barrel there came from the UCS X-Wing. I got a lot of Greenville parts off of that, and those little barrels right there are worth some bank too. They were used in the engines. They weren't the end of the engines. They were part of the tube going back to where the fire comes out kind of thing. So it wasn't used in an engine then, but this was a new piece here that the socket thing.
Yeah.
That you could do the guns from the gunships or whatever from Star Wars. And so I use those as engines. And so that, I mean, all of a sudden you start looking at pieces differently. Every piece is a space piece, if you ask me. And this is, I look at this and I'm like, man, I could do better at that. But it was not bad for the day because all these new pieces using Technic gears is just greebles and stuff like that. And there is where Giddens gear came from, skinny Giddens gear. So, but they fold up. So anyway,
that's awesome.
But I look at the front of that, I'm like, oh, there's lots of new pieces. I could curve that out. I can make that cleaner. We didn't have them. This is 17 years ago, right? So the cool thing is those Paradiso windows, which I used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I use those Paradiso windows a lot.
I was paying attention. See?
Oh, sorry. I remember I walked into the Lego store. There were only a few Lego stores, and it was a Lego outlet in Dawsonville, Georgia, which now then moved over to where it is now in Sugarloaf outside of Atlanta. I met Linda, she's still the manager. She's a super neat lady. But I remember walking in there in 2000, 2001, something like that. And they had found some Paradiso sets from 94, pulled them out of a warehouse and were selling them. That was also the time that Lego was bleeding money. They had so much stock. They had those outlets to throw those sets through. I think Kevin was working at an outlet store itself, one of the few. Linda was one too. But they were.
It was Colorado when it was Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two.
Yeah, and so they were pushing some of that stuff. But hey, there's some cheap Lego and interesting pieces. So using those Paradiso domes for that, and then they've come back and we're in the ship in the bottle kind of thing, which is really cool. But the thing about it, I mean, maybe the point is talking about this: when you get in the community, let it shape you to build better.
Yeah.
Instead of, which I like to say, there's a couple of guys when they build something, they're my friends. And I'm like, I hate you for building that, just because it's like, come on, man, you're killing me. But in reality, it's not jealousy, it's respect. And it's also like, man, let me learn what you're doing and add it into what I'm doing.
I have found in here, I was building a city for a couple of years, and the city builders would talk about it, figure out layouts, cool stuff like that. Now I'm with the castle guys, Mark specifically, and a couple other folks just cheering me on for doing the castle. And it's one thing for the average little kid to go, "Oh, look, mommy, it's Unikitty's castle." That's great. It's another thing for an AFOL who does spaceships going, "Man, that castle's pretty awesome."
Right.
But yet it's another thing when someone like Mark is like, "It's awesome." He says this one's better than his, but you guys got to see Mark's, and it means something. And this is just a basic castle display. I strive to be where he is one day. But if I never get there, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So that's what matters.
Always be willing to grow and learn, but enjoy what you're doing. If you don't do those in balance, then you get out of whack really fast.
Yes.
But yeah, so the cool thing is I still have them. When I went to Brick Fair, I took those ships, the pre-classic spaceships. So that one that you saw got best small model at Brickfest, and that year I also won best medium spaceship that year, and I won best large spaceship that year. So now there were other spaceships there, so it's not like I went to the Augusta Fair with my watercolor painting when I was in high school, and I won first, second, and third in my age group. There were 3 paintings, and they were mine, so I got first, second, third. That's the easiest $50 I ever picked up. So
we went to Atlanta in '96 for concert season band competition, and they had drumline competition as well. Mm-hmm. We scored. We got second place out of 4.
Hey, no, that's bad. 50. That's good, man. That's really good. So I guess they had third. They first through third. You'd hate to be the one that did like we didn't win.
Right.
That would not be a positive experience, I'm sure. So, but yeah, so getting recognition from your peers, but during that time that this is happening for me, when the builds I've done, and credit to all the guys and gals in our community who were kind of rubbing on each other, not like sandpaper, knocking off the knots and helping you get better. And everything. Lego shows up. Brad Justice shows up, and I have a picture somewhere of me taking a picture of Brad Justice taking a picture of my stuff. Right? Because you're like, wait a minute, this just went to billing, man. You know what I'm saying? Connecticut.
Well, this was a big deal. Just for some of our viewers, you keep saying Brad Justice. These folks may not know who that is.
Right. Brad Justice was the first person that Lego kind of said, hey, we need to do something with this community, this adult fan of community, outreach into the community. I'm not sure exactly what his title was. He was a cool guy. He's kind of lanky, kind of tall, had this Mario mustache on. And he was just kind of a nerdy, kind of lawyer looking guy. I don't know. But he was great. He walked around with his man satchel kind of thing, or whatever you call those things. Do what? Immerse? Is that what? No, he had a sling. But anyway, he's a good guy, and he walked around with us and talked to us. And also a guy, was it that year or the year after? Jake McKee was his name. Jake was also his assistant, who then, when Brad Justice moved on, or actually just left the company to do other things, then Jake McKee came on, and Jake McKee was that. And Jake was more one of us that went. So that was another level of, it's not only, okay, this guy that was working in this thing, they just put him there. They put him there, and then they hired on somebody from the community, Jake McKee, to then work. And then Jake McKee came that guy, and he hired Steve Witt, and Steve Witt then became that guy.
Right.
And then when Steve left, and this is getting a little further in the story, you had Jim, and then you had Kevin come along, and those were like the real golden years of what I knew as company community relations. And what Jake McKee used to say was, you guys are the evangelists for Lego. You're doing shows, because by then you had Brickfest, you had Brickfest PDX, you had Northwest BrickCon, you had this guy that started a thing called Bricks West, but then he left the country with the cash. That's another story that I don't know all the insides, but it was like I remember people talking about that. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of different conventions up in those years, up to 2006, 7, those kind of years and everything. And there was a lot more fans showing up to that. And like Northwest BrickCon, that's kind of a nerd haven up there anyway. The crowds coming through were enormous, especially for those days. I mean, if you said 6,000 people came through and looked at the Lego convention stuff, that was huge for those days. And still's not bad for a day. I mean, actually, it's really good for a day like Brickfest, Alabama. That's a general 1 day attendance. It's been a lot more before the public coming in. So all of a sudden, we are representing the brand well to the community. Not everybody was, but
sure.
But there were those of us who did. And so as Lego starts showing up at these conventions, they start taking notice, and they are wanting to involve the fans a little more. Now, Kevin would probably go, yeah, they were wanting to barter off of y'all. They were wanting to use you to push the product. And, you know, in those days, that's fine. I'm building, if somebody wants to see it and Lego wants to give us a high vibe, because, you know, was it 04, 05, the man showed up. Mr. Christensen himself showed up, and Jurgen showed up. The CEO showed up. And I remember sitting in one of those conventions and them talking about the quality, and some guy going, hey, so why is the purple in my night bus different purples? And went up to the stage and handed it to him, and he looked at it and he says, we'll check on this for you. And we're all like, whoa, you know, I mean, the man himself, you know, but nice of people. We'll talk about that maybe next time about those folks from Lego. In that time, when they looked at us as the evangelist of the product, and they were trying to help us out. But the one guy I met that changed a lot of that for us was a guy named Paul Smith Meyer. He was a Lego designer, innovator. They brought in from outside the Lego world to come in and use his creativity to change things. If you remember X-Pods, do you remember X-Pods, the little pod that you can take off and there's a set in there and you can build on it? I don't know if you've seen those or not. That was where a lot of the curvy slopes that we have come from. Exactly. And those little building experiences. He helped them change the game from where, as we talked about before, Lego was tanking. They were making too many molds. They were involved in too many things. And they brought him in the design field, and they brought Mr. Kudsnorp or whatever. I speak Southern. I don't speak any other language, so I'll butcher that guy's name. But when they came in to start kind of making things more efficient, they did it in the right way, because all of a sudden they're leaning into fans and listening to us about what's good and bad about Lego. Yeah, they are. This guy, Paul Smith Meyer, says, I printed out the pictures of your spaceships and I have them in my office. Okay, there, I'm going to go wet myself, excuse me, and all that kind of stuff. And talk to us not about what we want, talking about our aesthetic of how we build stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm interested in how you built this and what your design thoughts on this are. And we're like, really? I mean, so yeah, so they would spend the day with us talking, and but in that, you don't go mooching for free stuff. You might get it, but you develop a personal rapport, and you do it in a way that you're not fanboying. You're doing it in a way that you're talking peer to peer with some respect and all that kind of stuff, and not going, hey, by the way, can I have like a K8 a Lego because we talked? You don't push that. You don't get the CEO's card and call him up on Saturday going, what's up, man? You know, how you doing? You just, that kind of stuff. And you kind of become a trusted fan in Lego's eyes in those days, right? Yeah. And there were only a few of us, so it was easy to get that attention from Lego. And so from Paul Smith Meyer, all of a sudden we start emailing. He starts emailing me, and he's also emailing Mark, and stuff starts to roll because they're communicating with us and also saying, how can we help you not only be an evangelist, but be a better evangelist with the brand and stuff like that. And so that was a big step, because back in the day, early days, Lego was in-house, no openness. They were closed. Their design process was closed. And then they didn't know who was spending what money. And all of a sudden they were, about to lose everything. And they turned that around. But reaching out to the fan community, and that was a big part of it. And so when Paul Smith Meyer came into my life, things really started to change and everything. And we'll talk about that maybe next time when we get there.
Sounds great. Absolutely, very great. So yeah, this is a good spot right here. Hey, Kevin, look, pick your brick up. Leave in the comments below
it's clean. It's clean.
If you drink out of your pick a brick cup and you made it this far in the video, put it down in the comments below.
I want to know who's drinking out of there. No, don't microwave them. I think that would be deadly. But
I guess we just got it right here. Fazoom will be back with us next week to continue this wonderful story and sage advice. I love it. You mix it in. You're not even trying. It's just who you are. I love it. No, dude, you need to keep doing it. But
that's very nice.
So from all of us here at Forever Sorting, to all of you at home, remember, you got to love those bricks.
Gotta love those bricks.